We clicked it now. All right, boss, tell me a story.
Yep.
I've thrown you in at the deep end.
Throw me into the deep end. What kind of story do you want to hear?
You can tell me whatever story you want, like fictional, non-fictional, but don't bullshit me.
Ooh, that's tough. Story.
I mean, we'll start off with the story about Lauren, like maybe who you are. That might help.
Oh, that's so complex though.
Honestly, before you start though, I'm still fucking admiring that fucking mic you've got going on. Like, it low-key annoys me because I want to find where you got this thing and fucking get one. It's so cool.
Aren't you so mesmerized by it? It's so cool.
Legit.
I could just stare at it all day. I get very distracted.
Get nothing done. Just blame your mic.
Yeah, pretty much. It's fun though. I would say that it really represents my personality. A lot of different colors, a lot is going on. You never really know what's going to come next.
But changes every like 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, bam, 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 bam. I'm all over the place.
For everyone who can't see it, well, that's everybody apart from you and I. Like, it's basically just a mic that just changes colors every 1.5 seconds. It's beautiful. It's really mesmerizing.
It is. So if you need like something to like calm you down and soothe you, you just stare at the microphone.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. It'll make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it's better than that hazmat suit I needed.
What was that?
It's better than that fucking hazmat suit that I needed.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that you didn't show up in a hazmat suit.
Honestly, I was thinking about where the local fancy dress shop is. I was like, right, where can I get this thing? Like, have I got something that could kind of makeshift it? And the only thing I got is a bandana, and that's going to be a really weird introduction.
Oh yeah. With like, you should have showed up with like a bandana, sunglasses, like a hat, and look all like mischievous. and
then the headphones on over the top.
Oh yeah, the headphones have to go over the top.
Like someone who doesn't want to be seen, but I'm also here to work. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know who I am,
right?
But I've turned up to work on time. Leave me alone. It's like, dude, like
at 4:30 in the morning, and everything's crazy.
Yeah. We'll brush over the 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. You got your water, you got your coffee, you're ready to go. You're starting the day on a good foot.
Ready to go. My kitty will probably end up fucking running in the room in a minute because she'll be like getting jealous that I'm talking to a computer screen and not her.
Oh yeah, that's not fair.
I know she does get rather jealous. But anyway, who are you?
Who am I? I am a journalist. I'm a CrossFit coach. I'm a wannabe CrossFit athlete. I'm a lot of different things.
Crazy motherfucker who actively runs.
I see the way that I justify the running. I hate running. It's probably my least favorite thing to do when it comes to fitness, but I have a coach that I pay and I justify it because I feel like I'm paying for the running. So if he programs it, I'll do it. But if he was to never, ever write running in my program again, I probably would never, ever run again unless I was being chased by a polar bear. The only way.
I don't think it's that cold in New York.
No, it's not, because I'm not going to run.
Well, no, I understand that though. Like, like I said, I did fucking CrossFit for a long time and I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Right. And, if something that comes up, even in like a class programming, right. Or you kind of like just spew it up with a couple of mates and you're like, oh, I fucking hate that. And I'm really not good at it. Like, there's something about CrossFit that makes you want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like feeling the same hurt as everybody else. Like, there's unity and community and hating to run together, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Or,
totally.
you know, a lot of people hate thrusters. I like thrusters. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
mind
fine.
them.
No problem.
Anything with the barbell I really like. But yeah, it's just sucking the suck
Yeah.
together and
Yeah.
then smiling at the end as you're laying on the ground, wiping your sweat,
Giving
giving
each other
people
a high
knuckles,
five.
high fives, all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a super weird thing to walk into this quote unquote box, right? And you kind of walk through the door. You have no idea what this thing is. You've barely even heard about CrossFit. You're like, I just kind of want to get fit, you know. You walk in, there's like half naked people dripping with sweat. It looks like they've rubbed baby oil on each
Weird.
other. They're rolling around the floor. You know, somebody's probably pissing blood out of their hand. They're like, whoa, what the hell is going on?
Oh,
And the coach is screaming at them, writing things on a whiteboard. You're like, whoa, what is this? Some sort of like craziness? You're like, yes, it is. Welcome to the team.
it, right. It quite honestly is crazy. It's funny because I actually started because of my dad. He was the one that
Wow.
got me into CrossFit. Yeah, he's the real MVP. He unfortunately he doesn't do it anymore because he's had like some hip problems, so he can't like squat and do a lot of the movements. But my dad, it was, I don't know, it has to be like six years ago now. I was on a family vacation and my dad walked onto the beach without a shirt on. And I mean, I don't see my dad without a shirt very often. That's weird. But he was on the beach
Yes.
and he has a freaking six pack. And me and my sister look at each other and we're like, what's wrong with us? Why does our dad look better than us? This is like not okay. So then as soon as the family vacation was over, I like signed up for an on ramp when I lived in Wisconsin. I went to the gym and then I've never looked back.
Wow. That's fucking epic, man.
Yeah. I remember my dad telling me that I wasn't fit enough to be on his, I think it was like a Spartan race or one of those like,
Hmm.
or Tough Mudder. He did a Tough Mudder with friends. And I was like, oh, like, can I be on your team? And he was like, you know, like the guys are really like strict about who we put on the team. And I just like, I don't know that you'll make it through fast enough. And I'm like, okay, dad, you're telling like your 20-year-old daughter that I'm not fit enough to be on your 50-year-old team. Thanks.
That's CrossFit though, right? Like, you know, you get
Yeah.
stupidly fit and then you take it out of the gym and usually that's still stupidly fucking fit. It's phenomenal. What's
Yeah.
the worst
It's a good
workout you've ever
time.
done?
Okay. Of course, there's going to be running. It's called Clovis. It's a hero workout. And my old gym, when I lived in Wisconsin, would program it every year the day after Thanksgiving, which in itself is just freaking rude. Like,
Hmm.
what do you do on Thanksgiving? You eat turkey, you eat
Hmm.
stuffing, you eat a fuck ton of pie. Like,
Hmm.
you're not really eating like for performance or nutrition on Thanksgiving. So the day after Thanksgiving, the workout starts with a 10-mile run.
What?
10 a 10-mile run followed by 150 burpee pull-ups.
What? That's 10 miles, man. That's practically half a marathon.
Uh, I know. And that's not even when it ends.
What?
Yeah. And there was like, I feel like the gym had like a 3 hour time cap, but at 3 hours, I was like, oh, I'm like close. I'm almost done. I'm just gonna like keep going because I'm a psychopath. And it took me like over 3.5 hours. And I was just like, oh my God, is this ever gonna end? But like the way our gym was is we would have a mile loop and then there would also be like a 3 mile loop. So you would alternate, you would do way and then I'm going to go for like a 3 mile run this way and then let me like reverse it this way to try to like trick your mind that it wasn't as bad as it was.
That's was it like trail running or was it like all on the tarmac?
No, all on the streets,
Jesus
the
Christ.
streets of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And then I remember one of my friends, she was like, "Oh, I really like running. Let me put a vest on." She put a
What?
vest on and she still beat me. Uh-huh. I was like, "All right." Terrible. Wouldn't 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend.
No, you know what? I really wouldn't be pissed if I get put in the ground before I ever do that workout.
I think most people would feel that way. Like I do enjoy hero workouts because you're doing it for a
Sure.
purpose and there's like a bigger meaning to it, but just programming it the day after Thanksgiving was like that extra salt in the wound
Mm,
of like feeling super unfit.
mm,
I mean, a lot of like the members would team up with people. So like they collectively as a team would be running the 10 miles. But of course, I'm again a psychopath. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this on my own. Like I'm doing the full 10 miles, 150 burpee pull ups. And yeah, no regrets.
Well, the thing is, like, I understand that, like if you would have been, if say for example we're in the same city and you'd be like, right, we're doing this fucking workout, no questions asked. I'm calling in and no questions asked. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, okay, let me like assemble a team. It'd be like, right, if I'm gonna do it, let's do it right. I'll turn up in like budgie smugglers.
Yeah.
I'll put on like a Rambo like thing. I'll be like, right, let's do this. She'd be like, what are you doing, dude? When was the last time you ran? I don't know, like 25 years ago. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll figure it out. I'm just like, I like waddling down the thing, like chafed out my fucking nuts. Oh no, that's a good story. Like a mate of mine recently and myself, we did for charity. We did, obviously, Murph, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did it for 24 hours. Not
Oh, wow.
not a wise decision, right? Like not a
How
wise
many of
decision.
you was it?
There was me and one other dude, and we did it for 24 hours. Yeah. So, like we said, I'm a weightlifter, right? I snatch, clean jerk.
A little bit
I
different.
I do a couple of sets of squats. I'll sit down. I'll spend like 2.5 hours to do a total of like 5 working sets. That's called fitness to me, right? That's what I like to do.
That's where you
So,
get your cardio.
yeah, 100%. Like, anything over 3 reps is cardio to me, 100%. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've done a lot of sport and that's been different in the past, but right now that's what it is. So that's how I trained for it. Was I just weightlifted and turned up on the day, right? It was so fucking hot, like so hot, like 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for you guys.
Sounds hot.
Yes, it was hot. Basically, I go outside. If I'm in like, well, I'm white as anything, so that doesn't help. But if I go in like direct sun for like 5 minutes, I'm like wanting to pass out. It was not good.
So how did you stay hydrated and fueled?
So underestimated it. No, because we knew it was going to be shit. Right? Like that's just inevitable. You're doing a hard ass workout on repeat for 24 hours. And usually you send yourself a bit mental, right? Like you alluded to the hero workout. And everyone knows the story of Murph now. And if you don't, like if you've seen the movie Lone Survivor, you know the story of Murph. And it's like
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Oh, I love it.
Like, and we watched it the night before, right? As you
get
have
pumped
to.
and
Oh.
yeah. So like what the purpose is for sure.
And then you get super pumped, right? And you get that whole over arousal thing, and you're ready to punch a baby in the face and run through a brick wall. Like it gets, metaphorically speaking, of course. So, we rock up. I think in the first 5 hours, in the first 4 hours, we were into the 5th round. Right? We're like, we're gonna have to slow the fuck down. So why?
He's going out a little too hot.
Yeah, I've literally like put it this way. I don't run, right? And the start of the first round was the only time that you run 1 mile. Right? Because then when you finish a Murph, you'll end up starting the next one. So then you'll run 2 miles. Right. So at the end of the first round, so when the first time we ran the 2 miles, I think that was a PR 2 mile time. And I was wearing a vest. I was like,
Not the wisest decision.
bro, I feel good, man. You know, I feel good. I'm fucking ready to go. Like, I'm so hyped. Like, I'm not hungry. Joints are feeling good. 5 minutes later, my knees hurt. My hands are fucking stinging. My shoulders are playing up. I'm so hot. I'm like, I can't cool down, man. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't cool down, man. Like, I was doing it. Oh no, it did get a bit, you know, tasty. Like, I had to ask some medical advice from a nurse who came in and like kind of checked me out. I was like, dude, like, you're gonna have to give me a bit of advice here. He was like, why? What's going on? I was like, well, about half an hour ago, I was in the air squats. I was like, yeah. I was like, I was doing an air squat every like 10 seconds, like 1 rep every 10 seconds. Right. I was like, yeah. So, and I was like, I can feel my heart rate like beating out of the fucking chest and out of the breastplate in front of my chest too, right? The metal plate. It was like, so, and I was like, no, it's going like dum 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 dum, and I can't calm it down. And he was like, oh, that's an issue. I was like, yeah, man, like, I can't catch my breath. I can't cool down. I can't bring my heart rate down. I was like, I've had pretty much.
What hour into this was it?
Fuck, man. I don't know, 5.
Oh, so it's still early.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't bring this down. Like, I've had every injury under the sun. You know, concussions, like I've chipped my skull, I've like shattered my hand,
Oh my God.
Like everything, right? Broke my back, the disc, not the actual vertebrae. Like I've had pretty much every injury under the sun apart from a dislocation, right? And I was like, dude, like, I've never had a problem with my heart. Like, I've done so much sport in my time. I know I'm pretty well attuned in my body, but like, this one, I don't know. Right. And he was like, oh, well, listen to your body. I was like, no, bro, I need some medical advice. Like, you need to tell me if I need to pull the plug, or you need to tell me if I'm going to be all right. He was like, well, I can't tell you you're going to be all right. I was like, cool. I was like, are you telling me to pull the plug? He was like, I can't tell you to pull the plug. I was like, wicked. So I got back up and carried on, right? Because I was sat down on the couch at the time. Anyway, I plugged through another like round and a half, maybe. And I was like, no, this is still fucking me up. Anyway, I sit down, and I sit down for like 50 minutes. Right. So practically an hour. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to take an hour off. Because I got to the time where I was like, I'll do like an hour on, hour off, or I'll do like a round and take an hour off. Right.
Yeah.
So I sat down and was trying to get as much fuel in as possible, basically just eating anything. People just bring you all types of garbage, right? And you just kind of put that in the system, and drinking coconut water, like Powerades, like normal water,
anything,
caffeine, like you name it, it's getting in the system. And he was like, all right, cool. I was like, no, you need to check my heart rate. It was like, oh, all right, cool. And it was like 110.
God, what was it?
It was like 110, right? And he was like, oh, you know, that's not that bad. And I was like, dude, I've not moved for 50 minutes. He was like, but your heart rate's at 110 beats a minute. I was like, I've not fucking moved from this chair for 50 minutes. And my heart's still going. I'm like, dude, I did something, some issue going on here. Looking back, it's probably like potassium's all out of whack. Like salts are completely out of whack because I would have been sweating so much. Like I'm from a cold place, right? So I'm used to the cold. I'm not used to the hot. So that probably railed me. Intensity was probably too high. Like if I really wanted to like play devil's advocate, but that got crazy.
How did you feel like the days after that?
It took.
Was it hard to move?
We did it on. So we pulled the plug at 20 hours.
Okay.
So, like, because I ended up having to, my shoulder went, and I switched the pull-ups to like ring rows. And after like 6 rounds, I chafed so bad. Right. Like,
oh, that's the absolute worst. Yeah.
Like, ridiculously bad, right? All up the crown jewels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh no.
and I'm like, dude, I can't run with this. So I had to go on the assault bike, you know. So I was just like switching things out. I was like, I'll keep going. And I finished 8 rounds. And I got to the start of the 8th round. I was like, nah, like body's just telling me that's enough now. So what I did was like, right, I'm a guy that was like, you're not going to finish things half measure. So I was like, I'll finish this last round and then I'm done. And then my partner, he tried to do a pull-up, literally got on the bar and just wouldn't move. And then rested like an hour and a half and just couldn't, he had nothing left in his system.
Just no pulling. Yeah.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. So we ended up having to pull it like 20 hours, 19 hours, something like that. But the days after, like we got home at like, because he was my flatmate at the time. So it was kind of just like, all right, get in the car, I'll drive us home, which was luckily like 10 minutes down the road. You know, we slept. I think I might have had like a couple hours. I think he might have had like 3 maybe. And then I was like, right, get up, get moving, carry on with your day, keep going. So I kept going, right? Had a couple beers that night. I was like, you know, old school recovery, OG. Let's get this done.
That's like the worst thing you can do. Oh no! Then what happened?
Yeah, but I'm Northern, Lauren. You know what I mean? Like this. It's a miracle I wasn't drinking a beer during the event. You know?
Okay, yeah, that's
don't
fair.
worry, guys.
That's fair.
It's electrolytes. It's like, oh God, okay. Yeah,
so you're getting carbs. You're good.
Yeah, give me a Guinness. You know, it's good for my iron levels.
Yeah, there you go.
But we did it Thursday through to Friday morning, and I was fine by Tuesday. Right, so I was still sore on Monday. Okay. My legs were the worst. Probably just because of the volume. Like I'm used to like the intensity, but the volume was obviously way more than doing 3 reps in a back squat.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Like my right shoulder was a little bit iffy. But I get that from playing rugby. Like my AC joint's a little bit bunged up. And my lats, yeah, I mean, they're going to be a bit fried. But other than that, like, I thought I'd have been, like, completely incapacitated for a week. But I was moving around as of Monday. And then full-blown training as of, like,
pretty
Wednesday.
Impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have hung me up for, like, at least longer than that. Well, just like from all the running and like my lats, I would have looked like a crippled butterfly at that point.
I did look like I needed a wheelchair. Yeah. And it was actually quite funny as well because I was chafed so badly. Right. I had to do the whole penguin waddle to get around.
Oh no.
And people would come in and support. He'd be like, the fuck is Alex doing? And I was like, dude, you don't understand right now. Like, I'm so tired and in so much pain. I'll friggin' show you. Right? They're like, no. It's a live stream. Okay. It's a family friendly thing.
Don't show us.
It's like, actually,
I remember my uncle who used to do like marathons and stuff. He would run in a shirt, but because of like the chafing, like his nipples would bleed. So he would put like Vaseline like on them just to like prevent that from happening. But I wonder if like you could do something similar.
Right. So it looked like a fucking slip and slide down there simply because I went through like 3/4 to a whole tub of Vaz, right? And then I went through some talcum powder. And then I went through some other, like, whatever it was, some other chafing cream thing. It was like, oh, Sudocrem, that was it. Then I was just like handfuls of Sudocrem, just kind of like cupping that bad boy down there and be like, right, let's go again. And yeah, it was not pleasant. The bathroom looked like an absolute state.
lather it on layer after layer and hope for the best.
Yeah, don't look at me. You know, this is not this, this is not
Don't
my
look
finest
at me.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you don't understand why. I was like, I'm like 15 hours in, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing
Yes.
looks good after that point.
No. Like I wouldn't recommend it. But you know,
No.
when you do things for other people, we did it for two charities, you know, like you're gonna go as hard as you can. That just gets
Right.
you
And you
through it,
don't
right?
want to like quit at that point. Yeah. Because there's like a bigger meaning, a bigger purpose for doing it. So you want to push yourself. But yeah, I think you pushed yourself as far as humanly possible that time.
Oh yeah, you know, and it's also, I mean, you're gonna get this as a fellow coach, right? Like if your people come in and see you do some things, like you want to prove to them that they're capable of more than that little voice in their head, right? It's not like, oh, look at me, I'm the big
Yeah.
dog. It's, hey guys, you know, you come in like 5 6 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, however long, many times in a week, and I kick your ass and I expect and demand nothing but your best. I was like, well, now I'm going to prove that I've got your back, right? Now I'm going to prove that I'm going to do this for you.
Yeah.
So as well as like the charities and shit, it was also the people of the gym, and I'm like, look, guys, you know, like you might be going through some shit at the moment. I'm going to go so fucking hard for you.
Yeah. And I'm sure they like appreciated that too. And it was like cool to see you pushing through, even though you were very chafed up.
Yeah. 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 I normally walk with a bit of a waddle anyway. It's just kind of natural, like how 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 things work from being back home. Like you kind of just pick up some weird, you know, like have you ever heard of Liam Gallagher? Please say yes. If you say no, I'm gonna end this call.
Ooh, maybe if I saw a picture. I'm so bad with names.
What about Oasis?
I'll recognize a face. Oh, from what?
Oasis, the band.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what they look like,
Oh
but I've
no,
listened to them. Wonderwall.
Wonderwall. Yeah, everyone knows Wonderwall,
Yeah.
right? Um, fun fact: like everybody who's born in Manchester comes out to the music of Wonderwall. Like the nurses play Wonderwall every time someone's born in Manchester.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
I'm fucking
Fun
with
fact. You're full of them.
I'm fucking with you. That's bullshit.
Aw, dang it. Come on. That would have been so cool,
You
though.
know, there's
I
Gullible
wanted
written
to
on the
believe
ceiling.
it. Uh,
Pigs can fly.
don't fall for that one.
Hey, nah, it'd be pretty
They
cool.
can
Though,
if
right?
you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like my point was like he usually puts on like this kind of like a Conor McGregor style of walking, right? And it's actually like half true. You know, you go to Manchester and everyone just kind of naturally walks a bit sideways. So it was, you know,
Huh.
yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
You
That's a
fit
fun
right
fact.
in.
I would hope I fit right in. The amount of people I came out of that city. So how'd you get into coaching?
Oh gosh. It's actually kind of funny because when I started CrossFit, my family always thought it was kind of weird that I didn't get into coaching because I actually grew up, my mom owns a dance studio. So my whole life growing up, that was, I mean, one of like the sports that I grew up doing. I did all of like the other normal ones like soccer, basketball, swimming, golf. I tried them all, but dance was always kind of consistent because of my mom's dance studio. And even when I wasn't competing, I would, I would help teach some of the classes there, or, I would assist when I was younger until, I got to college, and then I would come back and I would coach a class or teach a class. So I always kind of had like that nature in me that I really enjoyed, like watching people get better and like helping them overcome different skills that maybe they didn't have. But I actually, career wise, I started in television. I was a local TV anchor for over 7 years. And
Oh
I
shit.
recently, yeah, that's actually my like background, and my schooling was broadcast journalism. I originally wanted to do sports. I graduated college. There was no opportunities in sports. I think I applied for, over 200 television jobs, and maybe 3 of them were as like a sports reporter. All the other ones were just like a news reporter. So I ended up, taking a news job right out of college in a small town in Illinois in the middle of nowhere. Um, and then I just kind of kept moving around with the TV gig. I would, interview people for breaking news. I would interview business owners when they would, open up a new restaurant or a new fitness center, things like that. And it wasn't until I would say like 2015, 2016 that then like CrossFit came into my life. It was like I no longer was a competitive dancer. I no longer was like working out with a team or anything. And I loved my career, but I didn't like have an athletic outlet. So then when I saw my dad on the damn beach and he was looking all good and I was not looking good, and I found CrossFit. And it's so weird because so I still like had this passion for being a journalist, but the more I like got into CrossFit and became more competitive and like learned more about it, the more I like will never forget sitting at work trying to like get through like my stories or get through a newscast, and all I can think of is CrossFit. Like I was focused on my job, but it was like CrossFit was just like in that brain. But never in my wildest dreams did I think, oh, let me like leave this like corporate job that I went to school for and like have all this experience in, to then like do CrossFit. I guess like I never really thought that that was an option. And then finally this past May, I was just kind of like sick of like the lifestyle that television had given me, from like having to move around all the time, working holidays, weekends, getting like limited time off, just like a bunch of different things. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can make this whole like CrossFit thing work. And the gym that I coach at now, Syracuse Sweat Club, it's in Syracuse, New York. They hired me as their like communications and media person. So I do like all of their social media. I do like a monthly like newscast that's like focused on the gym, the industry, the members, things like that. And then I also work for Morning Chalk Up, writing stories, interviewing athletes, doing their podcasts. So it's when I said like at the beginning that my life is kind of like my microphone with all of these different like colors and elements, that's really like how I feel how it is, because there's so many different things that I have my hands in, and my journey has been so kind of like, I wouldn't say random, but I guess I never thought that point A would have gotten me to like where point B is. Like there were all of these intertwinings and, moves and goodbyes and, changing friends because of the moves that, went on, and changing of gyms, and just so many different things that like finally kind of plopped me to where I am now.
Well, I think that's beautiful though, right? Because so many people think they've got to just place themselves in a box, and whether they went to college or university and did whatever, and it's like, okay, this is who I am now, or this is my family, so this
Yeah.
is I have to follow their tradition or whatever. It's like, no, man, like life is abundant, and life is actually pretty long. Like you've got the time to live like
Yeah.
100 different lives. If you really wanted to, say for
Right. So
example, you
why
live.
don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like move around, change, like ideally grow, right? That's the
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
point. Learn a couple things along the way. But like, I think experience in whatever is never going to be a bad thing. Because you can take that and apply it to something completely different, and you can apply a completely fresh perspective on it, and that's only going to help it. You know what I mean? And I think if anything, or if nothing else, you've got like some pretty fucking cool stories to tell.
Oh yeah. I would say like working in television has provided me with unlimited stories between like just the people that you would interview to like the viewers that would call in or send letters, like the jail mail letters. Those ones are always a hoot. And you know, I think that like one of my like tipping points for leaving the industry was like as I started to work out more and you know like my muscles started to get more tone, and the big controversy was Lauren can't wear sleeveless dresses because her arms are too big. They're too muscular. She's unrelatable to the average news consumer. It just like it just got old, like email after email, or like there was this one viewer who he would call every single Saturday after my newscast and he would tell me, I'm going to find your steroids dealer. I know that you're doping. Like no woman's arms look like that on their own. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I was really doping, like I would look very different than this. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what like a doper looks like. It's not me.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, the stories you get, you can't do anything but laugh about them. But yeah, I mean, it's led me to where I am now. And, you know, all of my journalism background and, you know, interviewing people from just like your small town business owner to politicians. I mean, it's definitely helped me when I interview athletes now. So it all worked out somehow.
And you've heard like so many different stories from other people as well, right? And I think people's stories are like fucking fascinating, right? It's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
who are you? Who were you? And then like what was that thing that bridged them together? Like whether it was like, I don't know, super deep in a traumatic event, or you traveled around like 1,000,001 different places, or you've just done it for a long time, or whatever it is, right? I'm just like, it's fascinating how people kind of grow and evolve and kind of just keep on going and end up where they are.
Yeah. And like everybody has such a unique story. And I love getting to know like what makes somebody who they are and what like their path and their journey was, like whether it is an athlete or whether it's a coach or just a member in the community. Like everybody has their journey and their why. And I think finding out like how they got there is just incredibly fascinating.
I think that's really cool about your job, is being able to kind of not market it, but highlight those individual stories of quote unquote average people, right? Which most
Mhm.
of the general pop that come into CrossFit boxes are. You know, we watch these documentaries and like, oh my God, they're all fucking freaks. And I was like, it's like 45 people on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think more than 45 people do CrossFit, right? If they didn't, it wouldn't be a valuable business, right? So you get to one here, and then two, like kind of like publicize these beautiful stories in a really unique way, rather than just like, oh, look at this box, we've got these badasses. It's like, no, it's like this individual has, obviously with their blessing, come through XYZ and is coming in and is trying to get their first like box jump to 20 centimeters, right? Or 15
Right.
centimeters or whatever it is, like just some tiny little plate. You're like, that's so badass.
Yeah. And even like when it comes to coaching, I think that that's like one of the most rewarding things is watching these everyday members who they have full-time jobs. They, you know, they come in for the 1 hour class and they just want to have a good time, get a sweat in. But when you see them overcome something that maybe they never thought they could do, like I had a member in class today, we were doing like a strength progression of like pulling on the ropes, and they were trying to sit in an L sit and pull themselves up with their feet off the ground. And this one member, she was like, oh, like I don't think that there's any way that I can do that. And I was like, Well, I don't know. You may surprise yourself, like start on the ground, like pull yourself a little bit up and, if it works, then go a little bit higher. And she like knocked out 4 of them, feet completely off the ground. And it was just like, see, I knew you could do it. Like the smile on her face was, it's something, it just makes your whole day.
What is the one thing, if there is one thing, that blows you up the most that people like end up conquering that they've never done before? Is it like a
Like a
big
movement.
weights? Is it a movement? Is it like even just showing up 3 times a week or what?
I mean, when people are lifting weights, I'm I'm like the hype squad. I love it. I love getting the music pumping. I love like, all right, come on, let's go, let's go. And like just watching them like focus. And then when they hit it, I feel like I PR'd because I'm
Yeah.
just so excited for them. And like as somebody who does it too, like I know what it feels like to lift something that you've never lifted before. So I don't know, like there's something special about people PRing any type of weightlifting, but then even seeing people get like their first muscle up, that's incredible because I know what a like feat that is in itself and all of the like extra work that you need to do outside of class just to get some of those skills. But I mean, the members within like the overall CrossFit community are like what makes this so fun? Like it's not a job for me. Like I don't where like when I worked in television, there were definitely days where I would wake up and I'm just like, "Oh my God, I know that all we're going to talk about at work today is the murder that happened yesterday in the city. That's going to be all our news coverage. I don't want to go to work. My day is going to be so depressing. Nobody is going to be in a good mood. I just don't want to do this." Where now, like, I wake up, I put a podcast on, I make my breakfast, I'm like dancing in my kitchen, getting ready for work. And I like never in my head think, oh, I really don't want to go, which like has I don't know. It's like I've so far never had a day where I don't want to be here. Whether it's here coaching, doing the social media, or even like working for Morning Chalk Up and writing stories, interviewing athletes, still like itching that journalism background that I have. That's why like I think this is really like the best of both worlds because it gives me the outlets where my passion lies.
I think you found a really beautiful and unique combination of like kind of creating a different avenue. I think you also like not reinventing the wheel, but adding a couple more notches to it in the sense of other boxes will keep an eye on this and be like, oh wow, they've got like a social media person and someone that handles behind the scenes, and it's coming across a lot more professional, and also it takes off some weight from this side, and I can plow more energy into this side, and you're like, oh, maybe we need to like free up some money in the budget to be able to do that, right? And I can't
Yeah.
wait for boxes to get to that stage where it's not just like a small business making ends meet anymore when they're just about keeping the lights on. It's like, hey, we
Yeah.
can actually, provide some opportunities. We have a scholarship program now where we can kind of like, yeah, okay, they're making piss poor money, but you can fund like a kid to come up through the
Right.
physical education scene, right? And kind of like gain a little bit of knowledge and practical experience. And yeah, okay, like sit down and do some tests and all that, but you can get it funded rather than like it's a pay to play. You have to know someone to get in, but also pay $1,000. And you're like, how
Mhm.
would you expect a kid to have $1,000?
Right. Where are they going to get that?
Where are they going to get that? There's
You
only
know?
one place they're going to get that. Well, if
Yeah.
they're not borrowing the money,
Oh, right.
you know.
Yeah, it will be interesting, like even 10 years from now to see like the growth that CrossFit will have because I know a lot of people in the community have been like really on edge with just like the change in leadership and then like even the recent like firing of like another top
Yeah,
guy, the guy who programs the games,
yeah.
Dave Castro. So like there's a lot of like mixed feelings in the community right now, but I truthfully do believe that we are going to continue to see more growth. I don't think that we've seen as much growth, or I don't think that we're at the end of like the growth for CrossFit, where I know some people are hesitant and like don't have all of their trust in it just yet. But I do think that we could eventually grow to a sport that has scholarship programs and that, you know, is a little more cost efficient for, you know, both owners, but like the community as a whole.
Yeah, like I love CrossFit, right? I think actually doing it is phenomenal. I think the coaching and the knowledge around that space is phenomenal. It's one of the best in the world. Like I think it sparks something inside of people that pushes them to other outlets, right? And if you go OG CrossFit, like you're getting onto the parts of like Louis Simmons and Kelly Starrett, and you're going into all these other avenues down the physical therapy, down the powerlifting, weightlifting, strength side, rather than just no, CrossFit is the only thing. I was like, no, like you're gonna go through everything, right? And I think it's phenomenal, but I also will tell people it's two separate things. Like CrossFit, the methodology, and CrossFit, the sport, are like two separate entities. Like, okay,
Yeah.
great. Like you want to compete, fantastic. All right, it's gonna be a lot. It's like me saying I play fucking Sunday league football, or I go to the park and play five-a-side with my mates, but I want to go play in the Premier League or the World Cup. It's like that's not gonna happen, dude. You know, I kick a football doesn't mean I'm like a professional football player. You know, it's the same thing. Like, all right, cool. Like, oh, but you've got like you're a single parent, okay, cool, and you've got a full-time job, okay, cool, and you want to socialize still, and you want to drink 3 times a week, and you still like that burger every other night. I'm like, okay, great. It's a bit of an extreme example, but go with it. I'm like, you do realize that you're going to have to train like an unseemly amount of hours every week to get pretty good at this thing. And guess what? Like, there's a lot of people that are willing to make that sacrifice too. So competition is super, super high. It's like, then you flip it on the other side. I was like, no, we're telling you to come in 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, maybe, right? We're telling you to do 1 hour, right? And then we're telling you to go home, do the extra stuff, i.e. the stuff outside of the physical realm of working on your nutrition, working on like your stress levels, working on, a little bit more movement and like relaxing and wellness, and working on like your mindset and mental health, rather than like come in, beat the shit out of yourself 24/7. Like if someone didn't know what this thing CrossFit is, I was like, it's two separate things. There's a sport and there's a way of life. The way of life is the ground level. Yeah. It's the boxes, it's the coaching, it's all that. The sport is different. Like that's just publicity. That's like gladiators in the arena. We go to the Coliseum, right? If we like to have a little bit of a tickle fight, right, that doesn't make us gladiators. Right?
No, it doesn't.
But I love it. Like I think it's awesome. Like I have actually attempted my level 3 twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I failed it both times.
What do you think is like the limiter? Like what prevents you from passing it?
Me personally?
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm not the most academic of people. It takes me a while. My reading really is not great. Like by the age of 22, I read 4 books. Like, so yeah,
wow.
Like I didn't really know this nor work it out. And also was kind of like, no, you're not going to use anything as a fucking excuse. Like get this shit done. But I kind of realized, and as of speaking to other people who are a little bit more like qualified, they're like, yeah, dude, you're pretty dyslexic. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Cause like sometimes I gotta read a line like 3 times and I don't understand it. Or there's a word that comes up and I kind of blank it because I don't really know how to say it. Like I don't know how to say it, so I don't say it in my head type stuff.
Got it.
So like, you know, from 22, I came to this realization. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I didn't go to uni, or I went to like 1.5 months, dropped out, was broke. I'm like, cool. Like you also don't have anything, like natural gift, quote unquote. I was like, so everything that you're going to have is going to have to be worked for, lad. So I wake up every morning, I got to read 4 pages of anything. The moment I'm reading,
for you.
Thank you. At the moment I'm reading like Brené Brown's new book. But in terms of like like limitation for the level 3. Like it's a lot of reading and own study. And then it's a 3 hour 55-minute online exam, multiple choice, pass fail. And that isn't
that's a
really
long time.
Yeah, that isn't really how I work. So it's pretty difficult at the start. Plus my memory is like awful. Like awful. So I'll go in and be like, I can't remember shit, you know? Like put me on the dance floor and we can work things out and it's organic going on, you know? And I'm like, cool, let's go. Like those soft skills, no problem. I got the soft skills coming out my fucking ass crack. But with those sit down, let's like do like some bloody 21 question quiz, I'm like, that's where I really, really struggle.
Yeah.
But I'll nail it one time.
You're going to get it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're going to let me know. And then I'm going to interview you about it.
Oh, behave. It's expensive too.
How much is the
So
L3?
you've got to like apply to do it, right? So you've got to fill out
right, because you have to have your level 2.
Level 2, yeah, and then you need to have done, I think it's 500 hours, with your level 2. So, and then you need to get that signed off.
Oh wow, okay.
You know, it's like practicing and all that, which is fine. You know, I think the first time I applied for it, it was like, oh, at least 500 hours. I was like, I applied at like 1450. You know, I was a full-time coach, right? I was like coaching all the time. I was like, well, I think I've got 500 hours. I've nearly got triple the amount, right? I was like, okay, cool. God. Let's do this. I took like 3 months, 4 months, absolutely like studied every day, like every day.
Yeah.
Like I've still got my books. I think I've gone through the, they give you like 18, 19 pages of links to just go through and be like, if you know all this,
oh wow,
take the test. And I've done it 3 times, man. I've gone through it 3 times and I've got books of notes everywhere and all that type of stuff. Anyway, it's like $350, I think, to apply. And then I think the exam's like $750, maybe $500.
Oh.
And I'm now in New Zealand,
and to keep
right?
Retaking it.
Yeah. And your application only lasts a year. So if I want to do it again, I have to reapply. It's give or take $1,000, right? US.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm in New Zealand, so it's US is roughly like 1.5. So for me now, it's 1.5K New Zealand dollars. But when I was back home, it was like 0.75. So it used to cost me like £750. So back home, it was better for me to take it because the pound at the time was stronger than the dollar. But now here, like the US dollar is stronger than the New Zealand dollar, so it cost me like 1.5 G's.
It's expensive.
Yeah, man. It's real difficult, but you know, one of these days it'll happen. You know, you just kind of soak it up. It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, you have all the tools that you need. You're doing the right things to get you there and you're going to pass it. I know you're going to pass it.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Like, I love the commitment to coaching and how do we get better as a coach? I love that. I was absolutely fired up and still am fired up every time I ever see or read anything from any of the flow masters that I've done my level 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Like I think the way they take those seminars are insane. And just like again, the soft skills I think is the most important thing you gain from that. And you know, that was kind of a goal of mine for a while is to apply for the internship and kind of get on that. But we shall see.
We shall see the next chapter of your journey.
Yeah. I mean, just like your microphone and yourself, like I do a few things. So maybe it takes me away from that, you know. Life at the moment is taking me away from that scene. So I'll go down this avenue as long as it takes me, and then I'll go where the wind takes me next.
Exactly. Life is full of different, pathways. Nothing is linear. Nothing.
If you try and make it like that, it will soon break you.
It will, or you'll end up regretting that linear path because it won't be fulfilling in the end. You'll miss out on opportunities and potential joy and happiness.
I got deep. I got I got I got 3 questions I like to finish on. All right. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Oh, life advice. The thing that like keeps coming to my head is you can't pour from an empty cup. I try really hard to live by that, but I mean, by nature, I've always kind of been, a people pleaser, and I get happiness from like making other people happy. But I've learned that, if I don't take care of my things, then it's just shit's gonna get mad. Eventually, like you can only spread yourself so thin. So I think don't pour from or you can't pour from an empty cup is something that I really try to live by.
Fuck yeah. If more people understood that concept and lived it, I think you would then in turn be able to give more to other people.
Yeah, it's hard to get past like living by that doesn't mean that you're selfish. It just means that you want to give your best self when you're giving it.
Yeah. Because
then
I
think reminding yourself that is important.
For sure. And you'd be doing the other person a disservice, right? That's how I used to help me understand that concept. Because I'm like, okay, like I would want to roll out of bed as little as, as late as possible and blah, blah, blah. And then I've had this conversation with the likes of yourself and I'd be super groggy and be like tired as shit. And I'm doing you a disservice. Like I've opened up a space that isn't as open as it could be. I'm like, cool. So I need to get up at whatever time before and do this and do this. And so I'm in that space. Yeah, look after me. So then I can then give more. That's what helps me through it. And if it helps anyone else, go for it.
Agreed.
Number 2, what's the worst piece of life advice you ever received?
Oh man. The worst piece of advice. Oh man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like who were bad influences in my life. And maybe some advice that they might have given me that was poor. I don't know that I can answer that because I feel like not that I've never had any like negative people in my life, because we all certainly have, but I feel like I've always been super cautious about who I take advice from. That, I mean, most of the time it's family. I mean, I really trust in, even as a 30-year-old adult, I really trust in my parents' advice. My mom is somebody who I go to if I want like kind of like the sympathy and the coddling, but like sneaks in some good advice, where like if I want like, okay, just cut right to the chase, like be a straight shooter, then my dad, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's going to give me the advice, whether it like hurts a little bit, but it comes from a good place. So I don't know that I've ever really had poor advice that I've taken.
I mean, good.
Maybe I've given myself my own poor advice. That's probably more what it was, is I took my own bad advice.
Yeah. Or you tell people not to do things and then you end up fucking doing it yourself.
Yeah. I'm really good at giving good advice, but taking my own, not so good.
It's back to that pouring from an empty cup, right? Pouring your own glass first.
Yeah, exactly. I know mine's almost empty.
Hey, what do they say? Like, put your own fucking mask on first in the old
Yeah, in the
airplane.
airplane.
Yeah.
Yep. Put your mask on before you assist others.
That's crazy though, right? Like, I'm not a dad, right? But if I had a kid, or if there's a kid next to me and this thing comes down, I was a swimmer back in the day, so I can hold my breath. But I'm like, I'm putting that mask on first before I'm putting mine on. 100%. That's just instinctual. Like, it's like, oh, put your own mask on. Right. Fuck you, motherfucker. I'm putting this kid's mask on. It's a child. You know what I mean? They're dependent on me. I know that might sound a little bit crazy because I might black out, but that's just instinctual. I will definitely have put the kids one on first before I'm doing my own.
Yeah, I feel the same way too, especially like if I'm like around like my loved ones or like kids and things like that. It's just instinctual, I think, for certain people that it's hard to do anything else.
Maybe that's the bad advice.
Yeah, maybe that is.
Yeah, we found it. Yeah. Oh shit! Now I've told you the worst advice you've ever received. Anyway,
yeah,
you know, it's fine.
I learned from you.
That's a legacy.
Thank
you can blame me. Just some northerner over a sea somewhere. Yeah, telling people bad advice. Last one is 3 words you would tell your younger self.
Ooh. Be kinder to yourself.
Wow. I mean, that's 4 words, but
yeah,
I'll let you off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't count and talk at the same time.
No, that's okay. Be kind to yourself. You know, I'm going to allow it.
Be kind. Yeah, I'm trying to eliminate a word, but I can't on the spot.
No, that's fine. Be kind to yourself. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's just you spend so much time like analyzing every little thing that you do or any wrong step that you could have taken or any little decision that you make. And I mean, I don't know how you are, but I feel like I've always just been somebody who, I don't know that I'm like a perfectionist, but I'm certainly somebody who like, if something isn't the way that I want it, I'm going to keep like working until it's like the absolute best. So maybe, yeah, that's like a perfectionist, I guess. But like, so sometimes when it's not, you get so like hung up on, man, I like know I could have done a better job. Why didn't I do a better job? Like, why did I fall short? Or like even relating to like fitness now, like I'm trying so hard. Why can't I do this? And just like giving yourself some grace when things don't go the way that, you know, you want them to, or that you expect them to.
Yeah, I was 110% exactly the same for a long time. And, you know, in parts, I still
sort
am.
of still.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all still are a little bit. We grow and we change, but not completely.
No, you know, there's some core values in there that will stay the same, you know, like, you know, I say like, if someone comes to me, like I coach people, right? And a lot of the time, like now it's all online and I'm not going to give you something that's not my best. Right. And that's, you know, in terms of my job, like I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, it's like, if producing something like I'm a fucking poet too, right? So I write things down and kind of stick a cover on it, and that's about it. But if I'm like, I could have said that better and like worded it a little bit better or changed the thing around, but that meant it kind of like stopped me from writing and creating things and kind of putting it out, then I wouldn't be too asked. I'm like, well, that's what it felt like in the time. I stuck it out. It's what it is, you know. But like, definitely half of the time, I'm like, nope, this needs to be fucking perfect, and the other time, I'm like, meh, whatever. Yeah, it's a weird one. No, mate. Well, I appreciate you so much, and what you do is super, super, super cool, and I can't wait till we get to do this again and share a coffee. And I'm not doing a burpee. I'll do 3 snatches and maybe 2 or 3 clean and jerks.
Okay, we'll snatch, we'll clean and jerk, and we'll drink coffee. There's going to be no burpees and no running.
Sounds great. Number one thing, I need a seat though. I need to be able to sit down.
Okay, I'll bring a stool or a pull-up chair.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Like you have a fantastic day. And if you ever want to, like, I don't know, you ever find yourself in the Southeast Pacific, just floating around on a rubber dinghy.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up.
Just hit me up, and I'll get you in the border. I'll smuggle you in.
Perfect. I've always been looking for like an overseas smuggler for myself. Now I've made that connection.
There we go. And, all you need is a northerner.
Other bad advice.
Find yourself an overseas smuggler to get you across borders. Yeah, that's really bad advice. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Okay. Yeah.
Just make sure the rubber dinghy's not got holes in it, because I'm not coming in the middle of the South Pacific to save you. Like, I'm a swimmer, but I ain't fucking around with sharks. You're on your own. I
will make sure that the cargo is secure.
Sounds like you're talking like cocaine or something.
I know.
It's like, it's only coffee, and Lauren, like, leave it alone. She's smuggling some coffee beans over. It's like, the import tax has been paid. Like, it's all legal. Like, just let her in.
It just looks sketchy, but it's really not.
It just looks sketchy as shit. Yeah, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. I know people. Oh, mate, I appreciate you. You have a fantastic day.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Thank you.